Hi guys, welcome back to the Real Cyber Doctor podcast. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Lynette. I am the Cyber Bootcamp Program Coordinator and today's co-host for this podcast. And today we'll be talking about blockchain, what everyone's been talking about. And we have Dr. Joseph Ikhalia, who will be answering these questions today. And we're just going to be talking about what blockchain is, why is it so important, and why do we need to care? So we're going to go into nitty-gritty today. So over to you, Joseph. Well, what is blockchain? Why do I need to care about blockchain? How does it work?
Okay, for me to clearly explain what blockchain is, I think the first thing to do is to take you down a little bit of history. 2008, right? You're much younger. I don't know if you heard about the global financial crisis in 2008. There was a crisis, financial crisis. People were losing their homes. People were losing their businesses, their jobs. A lot of big insurance, private wealth, public companies were going bust. They were going bankrupt. The government were bailing out a lot of banks, investment banks, private banks. Some CEOs, their jobs were saved in 2008. Some were not so lucky. One of the unlucky banks and company to go bust was Lehman Brothers in 2008. So there was a big crisis. I think it was caused by the housing market bubble that burst in 2008. And essentially, banks were giving houses, they were giving loans and mortgages to people that couldn't afford it. So eventually, things collapsed. So it was around this time, there was a lot of protests in Wall Street, in America. There was protests in Wall Street because a rumor had it that the government was bailing out the big guys, the Wall Street guys, and leaving out the Main Street guys, the regular people. So it was a big protest. In the midst of this protest, there was a guy called Satoshi Nakamoto at the fall of 2008. He released a white paper, I think around October 2008, titled Bitcoin, the peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Bitcoin, a new peer-to-peer electronic cash system. The white paper is there, it's online. So Satoshi's thesis was, because we are overly reliant on financial institutions who print money regularly and give out money they don't have in form of mortgages and loans and all that to people, there is a risk. There is a huge counterparty risk that affects everyone. And one of those risks is inflation. You know, things go out of proportion in terms of prices, and it's not an equal or fair, opportunistic environment for everyone. It's not a it's not a level playing field for everyone. So that's his philosophical thesis. But the actual technical argument for blockchain was the fact that in this new age of the internet, in this new age of technology, we need a peer-to-peer financial system in a way that no one else can control. There's no counterparty risk. There's no bank. There's no central bank. There's no Federal Reserve to control it. So I can send you money on the internet without any third party. So that's a technical argument. Philosophical argument is the inflation, the economic crisis, banks going burst. That's the philosophical argument. I mean, people have made a case for it several times, even up to this day. But the technical argument is, how can we create a system that we allow people share digital assets without double spending it, with having a cryptographic proof that something has been shared. So if I send you $5, there's a cryptographic proof that I sent you $5. So that's the technical argument of Satoshi's white paper, and it was an interesting argument. And with the release of that paper, he introduced something called proof of work, an algorithm called proof of work. So essentially, before I send you $5, there's going to be a network of systems controlling that asset, the distribution, the creation of that asset, that will prove, they will do some work to validate that that transaction is valid. So that was the whole technical thesis. And before 2008, a lot of people have tried to invent e-gold, digital gold, e-cash. They failed because no one was innovative enough to invent the proof of work algorithm to ensure that there is a cryptographic proof that I've sent you money. And that system, that process can be replicated, and more communities can join, more nodes, more computers can join the network and be part of the new digital economy. So that was the technical thesis and the philosophical thesis why we had blockchain. Blockchain was created to solve the problem of money, creation of money, distribution of money, the fair transmission of economic opportunities for everyone. That was what blockchain was created to solve. Primarily, that was the main thing. I don't know if Satoshi envisioned that Bitcoin, the first creation or the first implementation of the blockchain, was going to be actual money. Because based on the code, there's only going to be 21 million of them. Only 21 million of Bitcoins going to be ever created in the world. So I don't think that was the initial concept that this is going to be a currency. I think the word cryptocurrency was created by the community, by the cypherpunk community. You know, oh, this is a cryptocurrency. I think that was how the word of cryptocurrency spread. It's actually the first implementation of blockchain is actually a store of value. I'm going to create value, I'm going to store value, I'm going to share value without any third party. So essentially, when you do that, there's going to be multiple records created on every node that is part of the network. So the blockchain is not just a record of information, it's also a network. So it's a network of multiple computers all around the world, and there are about 18,000 plus nodes to date currently that are part of that network. So essentially, that's the easiest way to explain it. Yeah.
When you said 21 million, is that like a fixed thing, or do you think is it gonna increase?
Yes, that's a very good question. Everyone is thinking that at some point when we get to 21 million, there's going to be some magical face of Satoshi that's going to appear on the internet and say, hey guys, you've all been punked, you know. But we can look at the code. It's in the code. When I was reading Satoshi's letters and emails, some of them are public on GitHub. One of the things he said was the 21 million was an educated guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't really well thought about. It was just an educated guess. Because at the time, if you look at when Bitcoin was released in 2008, the white paper, 2009, the first mining began, there was a crisis in the world. There was inflation. We were almost going into a depression. So that was the best guess. Okay, we're going to have a system that will not be inflationary. Alternatively, it's going to be deflationary. So as it progresses with time, it will increase in value. And how is the best way to make something increase in value? You have to make that thing artificially scarce. So the artificial scarcity of something will make it increase in value. If I ask you how much money will ever exist in the world, how much?
No idea. No idea.
No, nobody knows, right? It's infinite. The clear answer is infinite. Money has no limits. We can print as much money as possible. We can invent and create money from thin air as infinitely as possible. I think during COVID, there was a rumor that 40% of the money in circulation was printed during COVID. 40% of the money that ever existed was printed during COVID, right? During a global pandemic. So you could imagine what's going to happen in the future. So there's infinite amounts of money. And when you have infinite amounts or infinite supply of something, what happens? You have inflation. It's not magic. So yes, 21 million. We already have 19 million bitcoins, 19 million plus bitcoins at the last count in circulation. And all the technical analysts and data scientists, they've already permutated and calculated that we're going to have the final Bitcoin created in 2045 or 2046, just a couple of 20 years from now. And after that, no more Bitcoins. So you could imagine what's going to happen in the future with the price. Yeah.
You talked about the security implications. In a cybersecurity perspective, how does blockchain's decentralized nature address vulnerabilities in cybersecurity? How does that work?
Okay, before we go into vulnerabilities in cybersecurity and how blockchain can help, it's important to also understand from a technological standpoint that blockchain's implementation of Bitcoin, right, as a store of value, is not the beginning and end of the blockchain, right?
Okay.
Because I think in 2016, I believe in 2016, around that time, there was this guy, Vitalik Buterin, right? Vitalik. He introduced another implementation of blockchain tech.
Who is this person?
Vitalik. His name is Vitalik. He's the founder of Ethereum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Vitalik introduced Ethereum to the world in 2016. It was a different kind of implementation from the Bitcoin. It wasn't really a store of value. It wasn't money. It was essentially a software development company, the Ethereum Foundation. So he launched this company in Switzerland, bank accounts, everything in Switzerland. There are developers who are paid. So this is a software company. And what was their plan? What was the initial agenda? The agenda was, how can we create technology, products, and services with blockchain in a scalable fashion? Because the Bitcoin was not designed to be a software company. It wasn't designed to be an operating system for anybody. Bitcoin is limited in terms of the processing power. It can only process 7 transactions per second. But Ethereum came and said, okay, we can actually maybe process more. Maybe we'll process 25, 50 plus transactions per second. We'll do more. And we allow developers to build applications on blockchain. So let's create our own blockchain and use Ether, which is the token, the native token of Ethereum blockchain, as the currency to do things on the blockchain, because everything you do on the blockchain that involves verification of data, editing of data, rewriting of data, it costs money. It's not cheap, right? So if you want to make a post on Facebook, it doesn't cost you anything, right? But if you want to make a transaction, you want to make a payment with the blockchain, it will cost you money. So imagine if you build a software that will allow people in India to vote for their leaders. So they'll go, click, select party, within the party, select leader, candidates, and cast your votes. That is going to write data to the blockchain if they're using a blockchain voting system. And that will cost the voter, the electorate, that will cost them money. Okay, so why am I saying all this? Most software companies since 2016, most technology companies since 2016 have adopted the Ethereum approach. They want to make their games, their video games, they'll tokenize it. They'll build an application. And the application you build on blockchain, we call it smart contracts. So everything now is a smart contract. Some healthcare companies, healthcare providers, they build a smart contract on Ethereum blockchain that will allow patients' data to be processed and stored on the blockchain. Remember, the blockchain has the principle of immutability, so you cannot delete records. Once it's there, it's there. It's pseudonymous and anonymous. It protects your privacy, so it's private. Transparency, so you could audit it. There is no scam or dodgy things in the blockchain. So everybody started building things. You have tokenized companies that want to tokenize their real estate. Who else? How can you share a room, a single bedroom apartment with 100 people? How can you do that? Now you can tokenize it. You can take the one bedroom apartment and tokenize it, represent it in the blockchain as a token, and then you share the tokens with everybody. Yeah. So remember when I was sharing Bitcoins for the internal team, right? So imagine that was Joseph token or Joseph Properties token. And I say, okay, if you have this piece of the token, it represents some form of ownership in this single bedroom apartment. And then you could sell it. You could sell your ownership by transferring the token to somebody else, and they'll give you money, right?
Just a question on that for those who haven't touched upon Bitcoin or anything like that. So when you said about sharing Bitcoin within the internal team, if I was to share that with someone else, are you able to see who I've shared it to?
Yes, that's what I said. Transparency. You can audit the blockchain.
So no matter how many times it's shared from me to someone else, you can see it from the beginning.
Yeah. And other technology companies, let me tell you what's more interesting. Other technology companies are looking at blockchain as, wow, this is a data minefield. This is data. This is transparent, permissionless data. We can get a hold of this data as long as we connect to the blockchain. What do? Let's build a company around this data, and let's call it Joseph Blockchain Secure or Joe Block Secure. What do? We use this data to investigate crime. So if somebody steals Lynette's Bitcoin, Lynette will come to Joseph Block Secure, we'll charge her a fee, and we will investigate who took the money and how the money is moving. We could be on the investigation for 6 months. So she pays us a fee for 6 months, and we follow the money. Somehow the money is going to make its way to an exchange where the person actually wants to make $1 or take a fiat currency for the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency. So they want to exchange it at some point. So then you can now say, oh yeah, the money eventually made its way to Binance or Coinbase or one of these exchanges. And then you take the phone and call Coinbase. Please, if you get any transaction from this is the details. This is the report of our investigation. And that is just the investigation of criminal activities. You can use it to do anything.
There's another question on that actually. So this was a question which someone in our audience asked in our previous bootcamp was, for example, money. If, for example, a £10 note, if the government bans £10 note to prevent, the black currency, that means everyone stops using £10 note, right? So if they were to, they set a ban to Bitcoin, At this point, I don't even know if that's possible. But
Yeah.
if that happened, do you think that would happen? And if so, is it going to be effective?
You cannot ban Bitcoin. You can
Fact.
only, you can only ban yourself from participating in the Bitcoin network. Why do I say that? Because the why is very important, and I want everybody to listen at this point. Bitcoin is running on the blockchain. What is the blockchain? I've told you, blockchain is a decentralized infrastructure, decentralized software. And I told you that 18,000 computers or nodes are running, and these nodes are globally distributed. Right? How many computers do you think run the internet? Let's pick a country.
Let's go with India.
Yeah, let's pick India. How many servers do you think is in India? That is because the internet is essentially computers, right? It's nodes. You know, using Google now. This is Google's infrastructure.
Mhm.
So Google is giving us this infrastructure. How many servers do Google have? How many servers do Google have in India, in Nigeria, in Great Britain? How many servers? That's the internet. So before you say, I'm going to ban Bitcoin, it's like saying, I want to ban the internet. How?
Makes sense.
Yeah. How are you going to do it? You're going to take down 1,000 nodes? That will probably,
Impossible.
yeah, that will probably cause a war. Yeah, it's like you're taking down 1,000 computers for what? What is the legal justification for taking down 1,000 computers? Because China tried it about China have this tradition, this funny tradition of banning Bitcoin mining. They've tried everything. They tried to stop exchanges. It didn't work. The exchange companies are going to look for a jurisdiction that is more friendly to them, right? Like Switzerland, very friendly to crypto. Dubai, United Arab Emirates are friendly to crypto. There's so many countries friendly to crypto. So they'll go find an industry and create their servers and their nodes and their infrastructures there. So it's sub-internet. So that's what blockchain is. Blockchain is internet of internet money, internet magic money. So how do you want to stop it? It's not in your country. The server is in Germany, it's in the Americas, it's in Britain, it's in lots of parts in Europe, Asia, Africa. Where do you want to start from? You may go after the infrastructure providers. Maybe you can decide to go after the infrastructure providers. So you don't provide any exchange facility. Okay, we really don't need exchange anyways. We just need a miner. We just need the nodes mining Bitcoin, and they can move the Bitcoin from one wallet to the other. You know, we don't really need a centralized authority. So there you have it. It's it's a wonderful thing. And if, in fact, this was how the internet started. If you don't know, there was no Google back in the day, there was no Amazon, there was no Microsoft. How do you think the internet was created? It was computer peer-to-peer information. I put my information up, connected to a one network, and everybody can access the information I make public. That was how the internet was created until everything becomes centralized and centralized with big tech. But now we're going back to how things are supposed to be. Centralized, very limited counterparty risk, and full autonomy for the average user. So you are in control of your data, of your money, of your privacy, of your information. So the simple answer is no, you can't ban Bitcoin. But you may be able to ban shit coins, right? There are a lot of people that have created other nuanced blockchains. We call them, how will I call them now? I call them private servers that are blockchain in name only. So I can create Ikhalia chain. and put 4 computers in my studio here and call it Ikhalia chain. Now you can ban Ikhalia chain by knocking on my door, Mr. Ikhalia, I want to take all your 4 computers and confiscate them in my police station because I don't want you running blockchain. Yeah, you can do that to Ikhalia chain because it's limited. But when you have a global distributed system, it's like you're trying to ban the internet. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Following on from that, I just want to ask you about tokenization and cybersecurity. So how does tokenization create economic models that reward good cybersecurity practices?
Come again. I need to get the question clear. How does tokenization?
So you've explained the role of tokens. Tokens, I just want to ask, how does that tokenization itself create economic models that reward good cybersecurity practices?
Okay, it's innovation. Tokenization is a new way of the internet. For example, recently I downloaded a game called Pikamun, the Pikamun game on my phone. I'm not a gamer, but I love some blockchain implementations in the form of play to earn games. So I'm playing this Pikamun game, and anytime I win or get a point, I get some Pika tokens. I get a reward for whatever I do on the game. Right? There's some activities that gets me reward. So it incentivizes me to keep playing the game. Now, a lot of projects that have built smart contracts on blockchain for whatever reason have embellished their thesis with some form of tokenization. For example, if somebody maybe shares my article on Medium on cybersecurity, I may decide to say, okay, if you share my article 5 times every day, I'll give you 5 Ikhalia tokens. In the same way, I could publish my website for security testing, looking for bug bounty programs, and say, when you find 5 high-risk vulnerabilities on my website, you will earn, let's say, 5,000 Ikhalia tokens. Okay, if you find 10 critical vulnerabilities on this website we're doing a bug bounty program on, you earn 10,000 tokens. So I believe in the future, and especially with the coming of AI, tokenization of every activity on the internet will become extremely important, because you're not going to be you plugging in your credit card or your MasterCard and rewarding people with real cash. You're going to be using tokens. AI agents, AI sensors are going to be using crypto tokens as their currency, because it's healthy. It's the internet. It's magic internet money. So when it comes to cybersecurity, the same applies. Whatever you're doing, the same applies. You can embed tokenization in your vulnerability scans. So you develop a new vulnerability scanning system as a software, and then you encourage your customer or your clients that whenever they use the system to scan for vulnerabilities, let's say you identify 3 vulnerabilities, the whole system will magically give you crypto tokens as a reward, and you can convert the crypto tokens to a voucher, or you can convert it to cash, or you can add it to your next order. Maybe when you get 3,000 tokens, you can get new license or you get renewed. There's so many ways to implement it. Imagine when electricity was discovered back in the day. Did you think that somebody was thinking that one day we're going to use electricity to be flying things like maybe cars or drones? Nobody imagined that. Nobody thought about that. Did you think the guys who invented electricity talked about charging these phones running lithium batteries? They never thought about it. So the innovation is only going to be good. The blockchain tech innovation is only going to be good as the people researching, looking for new ideas, looking for new implementation. Cybersecurity is key. And there's a whole load of information I can unload or unpack on that. But we don't have the time, and the session may be limited for that kind of lecture. That would probably be in the boot camp. So we'll say, okay, this is how you can design your products. Guys, if you want to create a new product, a software, in cybersecurity, tokenize it. The CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, he said, and it's late to the party. The guy said recently that the way the world is going is the digital tokenization of assets, of real world assets. Everything represented on the blockchain. I said, well, welcome to the party. Guess what? We had Ravencoin in 2018. Ravencoin was a fork of the Bitcoin. It was created specifically for tokenizing real world assets. You can look it up. Check Ravencoin. It's decentralized as well. It's not as expensive as Bitcoin. You can get, with a little penny, you can get lots of Ravencoins and use it to do whatever you want. So yeah, it's anyone's guess as long as you are innovative, imaginative, and creative. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Yeah. So another question is about going back to transparency here.
Yeah.
So how can blockchain's transparency be leveraged for auditing purposes inside cybersecurity? This is for the cybersecurity enthusiasts out there. And what are the benefits of public permission blockchains in auditing these practices?
Okay, it's simple. Everything that happens has a timestamp. So when you make a payment or you attempt to make a payment through blockchain, let's say you want to pay for one of our courses, and maybe I could think about it when we roll out the courses. We say, okay, there's an option to pay with Bitcoin. That would be interesting. So, and that could be a learning opportunity for the student to say, see, you can make a payment to my smart contract. I could create a smart contract wallet. I put the address there on the page. I say, go to the website, pay. And I cannot have any situation or occurrence of non-repudiation. So I can't deny that you paid. I could do that. I could do that in any other way. When it comes to blockchain, it's there. I sent you £10. And how do I know you got it? Because I took your address, I put it in the blockchain scanning database, whatever. There's so many. Could be Block Explorer, if it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the major ones. If it's Ethereum, then it's Etherscan. If it's Binance, it's Binance Scan, BSC Scan. If it's Solana, then it's Solscan. So every blockchain has its own, environment where you can perform analytics. You could see who paid, when they paid, how much they paid, how long it took it, what was the transaction fee, how long it took the transactions to confirm. The block number. You could see the block number. There are thousands of blocks. So visibility and avoiding non-repudiation is one of the key properties that cybersecurity technology tools, ideas can borrow from. How they're going to do it, again, is anyone's guess. It's anyone's guess. Let's say you work in anti-money laundering division of your company or the compliance division, and the company allows investors to use blockchain tech. Yeah, if they submit their wallet addresses, you can do an audit trail to see how much they've been moving around the system, the network. You could do that, and that will be your KYC. That will be your source of funds evidence. It's very simple. Oh, I got lucky, invested in XYZ. Okay, share me the wallet you used to invest in XYZ. You share me the wallet. Okay. When did you do it? I did it in 2018. You check 2018, it's still there. It's tamper proof. You can't delete it. You can go to a centralized cybersecurity company where they have a centralized database and delete all their records. Do you think ransomware can have its way to blockchain or Bitcoin network? No, it can't. How many are you going to ransomware? Okay, let's say you ransomware 500. You know, that's 500. The network continues because every node has the same copy of all the ledgers. So it's irrelevant. Your ransomware is a waste of your time and your resources because you can't stop the network. It's not centralized. My node has a different IP address, has a different public IP, has different security controls. Like it's magical. So ransomware, if you're talking about threats, cannot make its way to where Bitcoin mining machines are. You cannot mess up the records of the blockchain. You can do that with a centralized cybersecurity database, as most of them run on centralized systems.
Oh, when you're talking about this, it sounds more like blockchain. No one can get into it. No one can break the system compared to. But then again, when I compare that to just banks, it just seems way out of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can take down one bank, take down a bank server, and that's it. They'll tell you, sorry, we're experiencing technical difficulties. You know, the nice jazz, the nice language. Our systems are down.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to a store, just a store, not even a bank, a store, a big shop? I don't want to call their names. Because their systems are down, there is no way to get your record, to get your information out of the system. Even healthcare companies. There's no way. Say, sorry, our systems, our servers are down. And these guys they probably have lots of virtual servers. But all the servers are under attack. DDoS, blah, 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 ransomware. So they start taking your records on paper. They start putting all the information on paper. Oh, Lynette bought 2 cans of milk, and they'll put the money there in the hopes that when the systems are up, they're going to add all the transactions to the central database. It doesn't happen with blockchain. It's never down, especially Bitcoin. Bitcoin never goes down. How are you going to take 18,000 systems down? You want to DDoS 18,000 nodes? You're going to spend trillions of dollars. So the way Bitcoin blockchain was designed, because that's the first model everyone needs to follow, is that the more nodes, the more quantity of nodes we have on the system, the more secure it is. And then the attacker or the malicious user intending to take down the network to prove a point will need to spend more resources than the actual reward from doing that kind of action. So you're probably going to take down 1 node or 2 nodes. You spend a lot of resources. Why not take that money and invest it into the system rather than try to bring down the system? So yeah, in terms of DDoS, the blockchain tech is fine. You can't DDoS blockchain. You can't DDoS Bitcoin network. You can't ransomware the network. What are you going to do? Identity theft. There's no identity to steal. It's anonymous. You can't steal anything in terms of information. There's no user information there. You can steal. You're going to be stealing the block times and block rewards and block numbers. And all this is public information. Wow. It's amazing, yeah. When you
Just
think
opens your mind to a lot of
yeah,
things.
yeah. Yeah. So
So do
you
you think if I was to start
yeah.
investing in Bitcoins, what
Yeah.
would you, where should I begin? First question. The second question
Yeah.
would be, what are the risks that I should be aware of? And how not to, like after I start investing, what is
Yeah.
something not to fall into? You know, when you get more of something, you kind of become blind to everything.
Yeah. Very good question. When I started learning about blockchain, it was 2014. That was years ago. Yeah, I was in my or first year, PhD first year. So I was learning. They used to call me for some jobs to write books that were published by Springer. You know,
Mhm.
if you look Springer online, you'll see their reputation. So we wrote a lot of book chapters on blockchain, decentralization, governance. I wasn't fascinated about investing. The true believers in this technology really don't care much about the investment side of things. That's not how they started. Oh, I want to make a quick buck. No, that was not that was not the plan. The plan was to try to understand where this is going. What is this about? How big is this? By 2017, 3 years later, I was already lecturing and teaching students how to build blockchain and smart contracts with different programming languages. One of them was Python. We created Brunel coin back in the day, the token for the university. Still, I wasn't investing. It was until 2018, 4 years after, I started learning, reading. I had interviews. If you do a lot of research on me, you'll see one of my interviews with one of the youngest blockchain developer in Nigeria. I think it was 22, 23 at the time. Forgotten how it was, 23, 24. So yeah, I had an interview with the guy. You know, he was educating me. He tried his best. You know, in 2016, yeah, around that 2016ish, tried his best to educate me about it. He was developing for a lot of companies, but it took 4 years. By 2018, that was when I bought my first Bitcoin. In 2018, that's when I started buying Bitcoin, buying Ethereum, you know, playing around and seeing how things go. Because I was working in a blockchain company, in a gaming company. So that was the exposure. I got my first wallet, started playing around. So everything was making sense. It took 4 years. Could have been quicker. So the first thing you want to do, don't be fascinated or be a degenerate looking for quick money making opportunity. It's a slow process. The real guys, you know, who make money from this thing, it's taking them years. You know, imagine when Bitcoin was $12 in 2012. Bitcoin was $12 for one. How much is it now? $66,000 for one.
Everyone hear that?
Oh yeah,
Everyone hear that? Keep your ears open.
yeah. And because of lack of education, when you move from $12 to $600 in 2016, a lot of people sold their Bitcoin, right?
Mm.
Their Bitcoin in 2016 because they don't understand what it is. And then you woke up in 2024, it's $66,000, it's $68,000. Wow. Why didn't I keep it? Because you did not educate yourself. How far is this going to go? We don't know. It could get $1 million. It's possible. Okay. So the education beats. Where do you get the information? The first book you want to read is the Bitcoin Standard. I wish I read the book earlier. I only read the book about 2 years ago based on recommendation. The Bitcoin Standard helps you understand and put things in perspective. You want to follow educated YouTubers. You don't want to follow people who are the moon guys. They just want to talk about how you're going to get to the moon, how you're going to make a quick buck. No, you want to find people who understand it. One of my favorite channels to get education on Bitcoin, because that's the first place to go, is the Bitcoin University channel. Yeah, Matthew Crowder, Bitcoin University. I'm promoting his channel now. But he doesn't need promotion. Well, our channel would need more promotion than him. He has about 200,000 subscribers. So that guy has a lot of education. And initially, most people who actually become a fan of Bitcoin and blockchain tech, they started by, skeptics. I don't know. Not sure. There's too many biased information, too many confirmation bias on the internet. It's a scam. And most times you look at the people who adopt it, who buy it, they are not that smart and they are not people you really admire. So you increase your your bias and skepticism on the blockchain tech. So you shouldn't look at it. You should look beyond the people around you. The Bitcoin Investor is a good channel. The blockchain, the Bitcoin Standard is a good book to start with. Every good material on understanding what blockchain tech is, it's a good starting point. So that when you start trying to invest, you're not going to need anybody to tell you. You don't need to ask the question. Just how much? Anybody who they come to my DM and say, sir, do you think I should buy Bitcoin now? I'm like, if you're asking me that question, then you shouldn't even be in Bitcoin. You shouldn't even get close to it. Get to that point where you don't need to ask, should I buy or should I not buy? Yeah, that's the best point. Educate yourself.